Okay, so here is another word problem. Christina wants to make a quilt. She purchases 1.5 yards of blue fabric, 2/3 yards of polka dot fabric, and 5/8 yards of red fabric. How much total fabric did she buy? Now, we know that when we look and it says total, that we are going to be adding. So that tells us right away we're going to be adding. Now, just so that you notice, whenever you have the units, this says yards, and this says yards also. Sometimes they might mix up the units, and that will be tricky. So if this said yards and this said yards and this said feet, that would change our answer. So we have to make sure all of our units are the same. So we know we're going to be adding all of these things together. So we're going to change 1.5 to a improper fraction. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So we have 3 halves, 3 over 2. We have 2/3, and we have 5/8. Now, if you're comfortable adding these fractions and changing the denominators on your own, go for it. I'm just going to do it in a way for people who might struggle with adding fractions. So we're adding all of these together. So I'm just going to do 2 at a time, okay? So I have 3 over 2 plus 2 over 3. So I'm going to do the butterfly method that I've talked about in class. 3 times 3, 2 times 2, and then here 2 times 3. So this is 6. That is your new denominator. So 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. And you still have your plus. So 9 plus 4 is 13 over 6. So when I add these two together, I got 13 over 6. Now I have to add this one. Don't forget about 5/8. So plus 5/8. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to butterfly again. Okay, so come over here. Now I'm going to change colors just so you can see a little bit better. 6 times 8 is 48. 8 times 13. Now, if you have to, here's 13 times 8 equals 104. So we have 104. 6 times 5 is 30. Okay. So now we have 104 plus 30. Well, if you can't do that again, oops, sorry about that. You can 134 over 48. Okay. Now this answer is correct. However, if you're doing a multiple choice test, it would not show up there because it has not been simplified yet. So again, I'm going to come and find my calculator. I closed it by accident. Oops. So I can see 48, say 134 divided by 48. So it goes in 2 times evenly, okay? So I'm going to say 2. So 48 times 2 was 96. So I'm going to subtract 134 minus 96, and I have 38 left over. So I'm going to come over here and have 38 over 48 left. Now I can still simplify that a little bit more. So I'm going to keep my 2. I'm going to divide this by 2. 38 divided by 2, because it's an even number, I get 19. So 19 over, and 48 divided by 2 is 24. Okay, there is your answer. We're going to come over here. Paul is 6 feet and 4 inches tall. So here's Paul. Okay, he is 6 feet and 4 inches tall. See how I'm labeling that? Now his brother, who they didn't bother to give a name to, is shorter, and he is only 5 feet and 1/2 foot tall. Okay, so 1/2. I'm not going to put 1/2 here because I have a half here and I have inches here, and that doesn't do me any good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what's half of a foot. Well, a foot is 12 inches, so half of that would be 6 inches. Now, this word right here, how much taller is Paul, that tells me straight away I'm going to be subtracting. I'm going to be subtracting this problem. So I'm going to see how much taller he is than him, okay? Well, the problem is I can't subtract 6 inches from 4 inches. So you actually do have to regroup. So the problem with regrouping here is when you do, and you turn that into a 5, you can't just put 1 in front of the 4 for it to be 14 like you would, because a foot is not 10 inches, it's 12 inches. So I have to add 12 inches to this, which makes this 16 inches. Okay, that's gone, 16 inches. But I can subtract 6 from 16 inches, and I get 10 inches. And then 5 and 5, so 5 minus 5 is 0. So his brother, Paul, is 10 inches taller than he is. When we come down here, Bill has 250-acre ranch. His cattle graze on a fourth of the ranch. So how many acres are grazed by cattle? Now, if I told you that his cattle was on half the ranch, that would be so easy for you. You would just divide that by 2. But because I'm asking you 1/4, a lot of you get confused. So if half, you would divide by 2. A fourth, you would just divide by 4. So you are going to take 250 and divide it by 4. So 4 into 250. Now, if I'm able to use my calculator over here, it's super simple. 250, divided by 4 equals, and it's 62.5. You can also do the long division. 62.5 is here. Whoops. 62.5, there you go. So that would go in 6 times, it would be 24. You'd subtract, you'd get 1. 4 goes into 10 2 times, that would be 8, and then you'd get 2. 4 can go to 20 times, 5 times, so 62.5. Now over here, we have 5.5 pound bag of jelly beans. She wants to separate them into 1/8 pound bags for her friends. So basically what she's doing, she has this big giant bag of jelly beans, and she's dipping into it 1/8 of a pound, and then again, and then again, and again. So when she's doing that, when she's separating it, that's just another word for dividing it. She's dividing her bag of jelly beans. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to divide. So again, we're going to change this into an improper fraction. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1. So 11 over 2, and we're going to divide it by 1/8. Basically, if I took a scooper, how many times could I scoop 1/8 out of this fraction? So when we divide, you keep, you change into multiplication, there's a dot, and you flip. Back in the day when I was learning this, we copy, dot, flip, but either way, it's the same. You're finding the reciprocal. 11 times 8 is 88. 2 times 1 is 2. This is correct, but I'm going to simplify. 88 divided by 2 is 44. So 44 packs, so 44 friends will receive jelly beans. She is a very popular girl.